25 years ago, Dr. Pratap Reddy was at the crossroads of his life. An engineer by qualification, a checkered academic career, all pointed him as an ideal candidate for the Vice Chancellor of Jawaharlal Nehru Technological University, or JNTU as we call it. But political machinations, jockeying by other candidates, deprived him of posts that rightly belonged to him. In a matter of half an hour, he quit the post that he was holding then in JNTU and walked out. He still had 9 years to go. But good enough, Dr. Reddy decided to set up a management college. He started 25 years ago with that management college, which was then initially called Dhruva College of Management, later converted to Dhruva College of Management. A small campus in the commercial area of Kachigoda, to huge verdant green peacocks kind of strolling around this beautiful campus near Medchal today. Dr. Pratap S. Reddy has come a long way. With over 5 decades of teaching experience behind him, he is a man who believes that education is a passion, that education is something that has to be imbibed, that has to be taught. And that is why when he started his college here, he decided to be different. What does Dr. Pratap S. Reddy do? How does he run his college? What are his aims and objectives? What is his vision? Where does he get the motivation? How does he train his students? Let's look at all that in a freewheeling interview with Dr. Pratap S. Reddy, Chairman, Dhruva College of Management. Welcome, Dr. Pratap S. Reddy, Chairman of Dhruva College of Management. At the outset, let me thank you, sir, for sparing your time and speaking to us at Conversations. We know that you started Dhruva 25 years ago with a vision to build a fine, beautiful campus and at the same time bring in an academic imbibement into the entire issue. Now that you have crossed the 25-year-old landmark, there are a few questions that we would like to ask you during this interview. The first question obviously would be, it's been almost 50 years since you started your career as an academician, and there must be certain milestones that mark the way as you progressed. What are those milestones, and how do you look at this long journey?
I belong to a middle class agrarian family in a remote village of Telangana. I did my schooling up to 10+2 in Telugu medium, and fortunately I was always topper. Especially 7th standard was a kind of district level examination in those days. My result was withheld, and being a topper, when my result was not there, I was crestfallen. I went home, morose, dull, depressed, and my mother suspected, "What is wrong with you?" I said, "I have failed in 7th standard." My mother could not take it because such a brilliant boy I was and a pampered child. When my father came, usually he is a village head, he came for lunch, and the moment he came into the house, my mother, so simple, so docile, so God-fearing, she never opened her mouth against my father, and she was furious about what happened to her son Pratap Reddy. Then he shouted at my father, "You gentlemen, what is happening to your son? He failed." Then my father put his pagdi and took me along to the school, and he confronted the headmaster. Headmaster, I still remember the name, Usman Ali Khan. And my class teacher was Jan Sharif. And I still remember the names of the teachers. Sadatullah Khan, physical director. Sattar, social studies. Narayana Swami, Hindi. These were the teachers. And Usman Ali didn't know who I was. Actually, he was staying in our own second house in the village. And he was surprised to see my father, and he inquired. Then my father said, "How could you do this to my son?" Then he immediately excused himself and he went to district headquarters, and he was told that my answer scripts were not written by me. They must have been written by the teachers. Then he came back, took my notebooks and went back to the district headquarters and fought with them, showed proof that the answer scripts were really written by me. Then I was declared district topper. That was the kind of student I was. Then after 7th standard, there was no high school in my village. I went to Hanamkunda, multipurpose high school Hanamkunda. I still remember the headmaster's name, T.V. Narayan, Padmasri T.V. Narayan. He is still alive. I was doing good there. I got school first there. Then I got into engineering. And my engineering career was not that good because mathematics was not my cup of tea. Somehow I scraped through. I completed my engineering from Osmania Engineering College in 1967. There were no jobs. But Mulki rules agitation came handy. It was when Vengal Rao was the Chief Minister of United Andhra Pradesh. And I jumped into the fray. We fought for Mulki rules protection and nothing happened. Then came an emergency, and 1969 the agitation was converted into not Mulki rules but separate Telangana state.
In fact, that brings me to the next question actually. It falls from there. You were an active participant in the 1969 Telangana agitation and before that. And many in the present generation are not really aware of what happened in that time. Many people lost a complete academic year in terms of running the institution or being as a student. What are your recollections of the Telangana agitation of those days? I'm not talking of the one that just happened about 5-6 years ago, but one that happened way back in 1969.
I tell you with all pride, I can recollect that we fought for separate Telangana for the simple reason that it is not the separatist movement. It was status quo ante. Hyderabad state, now known as Telangana, was there already. And for the information of the viewers, I must say that Telangana got independence on 17th September 1948, not 15th August 1947. Thanks to Vallabhbhai Patel, and Nizam was forced to join with the Indian Union. But the agitation was pristine, and if I look back, I can tell you that that was my golden era of life. I spent my days in agitation so wonderfully. I was incarcerated. I rubbed shoulders with the likes of Kaloji Narayan Rao, the great Telangana poet, and it was a selfless work, and I never feel bad about what I did then. Our idea was only to get liberated from Andhra regime. We have nothing against Andhra brothers and sisters. We are all against the Andhra rulers, and they did many atrocities against Telangana. We were denied water, we were denied jobs, we were denied many. Actually, we were treated as second-class citizens. That's how I jumped into the fray of Telangana agitation, and I am proud to say that I was incarcerated.
You almost came close to being the Vice Chancellor of JNTU, but lost out, as we all know, due to political jockeying by a few interested candidates. Did losing out JNTU VC make you bitter? Make you angry? How did you handle it?
It is a wonderful question. At the same time, it is excruciating for me to recall the day when the Vice Chancellor was announced. A couple of days before, the then Chief Minister, I don't want to name him, promised me that I would be the next Vice Chancellor. It happened in 1995.
So we can all guess who that would have been.
Right. Then I was crestfallen. I richly deserved the position. Had it been a senior to me, more deserving, I wouldn't have bothered. A rank junior, 5 years juniors to me, was installed as Vice Chancellor. Within an hour, I resigned my position as Chairman Board of Studies, JNTU, almost 9 years before superannuation.
So the question is, this still continues now. We've seen the latest rounds of appointment. They're all in-charge Vice Chancellors. The government had so much of time to actually bring in good permanent heads for these educational institutions. I mean, universities like Usmania, JNTU. But again, we see the same thing happening all over again. Is politics actually killing academics?
The tragedy in today's higher education is that for a Vice Chancellor position, there are so many candidates. For a professor's position, there are not many candidates. And Vice Chancellor position is a political appointment. Unlike Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan was Vice Chancellor Andhra University, or Katamanchi Ramalinga Reddy was the Vice Chancellor. And there were stalwarts. Madan Mohan Mahalavya. These are the people who reigned the university with academic rigor and intellectual strength. But nowadays, I don't know.
Which brings me to the very, very obvious question. Why a management college and not an engineering college? Because you spent a better part of your career at JNTU, but then you decided to set up a management college. Why so? Isn't it have been natural to stick on to an engineering college, which was a demand those days and still has a bit of demand now?
As I told you earlier, engineering was not my cup of tea. I was interested always in the right brain activity. I was into arts, and I digressed from engineering to management as early as 1973-74.
That happened when you were in JNTU?
Yes, I did part-time MBA, I did a PhD in management, and my interest was in management, in arts. And what I lost during my studies of engineering, I regained. I got my moorings back when I did my MBA and PhD, and I was elevated to the post of professor compared to all my engineering compatriots. And I was quite happy to get back to my area of interest. And I was Chairman Board of Studies, and the fact that the very first batch of Dhruva College of Management, 1995, had to reject as many as 206 students, because out of 60 students that were allotted by AICTE Government of India, Dhruva College can take only 60. So there were as many as 266 applicants. And this is just because my work as teacher in JNTU and my selfless service, my love for my students, that came very handy. And I tell you, one of the toppers in JNTU MBA, Hema Malini Haran, I remember the name even today, she brought her younger brother, Anand Haran, for admission into Dhruva College. Such a brilliant boy. And sister is gold medalist from JNTU. That's how Dhruva College attracted many students, thanks to my old students from JNTU.
That obviously makes me ask you the next question, which is, you run Dhruva as a not-for-profit venture. These days when education is a big business, right, even in primary school onwards, you still say that you don't want to make money. Even if you achieve break-even, it's good. Many years you have run the institution on loss. I remember you giving scholarships to many students. What motivates you to do this kind of activity?
I don't want to boast about what I am doing, but basically I desist money. I am fully provided by God Almighty, and I am happy with what I am, And whatever little money, whatever agricultural lands I have, bequeathed by my parents, I sold off and I established this college. And whatever little tuition fee I am collecting, it is for meeting the operational costs only. The fixed cost component or the sunk cost, I don't bother. Whatever
Your
that
capex is not something you bother more about the OPEX part of it.
I'm happy with what I am doing here, because ultimately, if you permit me to say, don't take it as a joke, I would like to make Dhruva completely gratis for the bottom of the pyramid students. Kind of parity with Super 30. People may take it as an exaggeration, but I believe in that. Let us see what happens.
And which actually I've seen you in college, I mean hands-on person, you really don't at this age also give up, try and relax. I know many people at your age would actually play with the grandchildren or, take a book and read and sit and relax, but I see you in college almost every day, even when the students are not there in the college. Despite these health issues that you have, what makes you being a hands-on manager?
There is a beautiful saying, if you want to increase your longevity, you must have at least a grandchild or a pet. My pets are my students here. I love them as much as I love my biological children. And the more I spend with them, more I rejoice. And that is my strength. The secret behind my happiness or my health is that I spend the majority of most of my waking hours with my students, young students. And I believe in nurturing them. I believe in making them worthy of corporate world. And I believe that once they are employed gainfully, I want to see a spark in the eyes of the wonderful children. And I want to see that the value for money they spend on doing Dhruva, doing PGDM here, is paid back within 15 months flat, whereas the universal standard is 20 months.
Which brings me to the next question, which is what you're just speaking about. The common complaint from the industry in general, and specifically certain sectors like marketing, is that the students are not industry ready, MBA students. I'm not generalizing specific to Dhruva as such, but I'm just talking in general about what the industry talks about. That the industry again needs to train these students to make them industry ready. It happens also in the software sector, where we see engineering students are not ready for the kind of jobs that are there. What do you feel? What is missing? What is the gap that is missing between what the industry wants and what the colleges provide?
Big gulf between what corporate needs and what management schools are producing. It is a joke that I have written an article about 48 years ago on industry-institution interface. Even today, the conferences, seminars, symposia are running on the topic of industry-institution interface. But the tragedy is, the majority of MBA students are not industry ready. They are not employable. But whereas Dhruva, we take special care to bring interface with the working professionals across the world. Across the world, the academia, industry professionals come and address my students, and we take special care about life skills, including communication skills, including real-time experience, and especially the summer internship that we offer to the students 3, 4, 5 months during the interregnum between first year and second year. We take it very seriously, and our faculty members mentor them with the support of the functional managers from the industry, and we try to give respect to this kind of thing. And one more thing I should tell you, that there is a kind of audit program wherein if every student must choose a practicing manager as his buddy, so that they will learn the nuances of the practicing manager. So by the time they complete the course, they have the experience with the real-time manager, whoever he is friendly with, and the summer internship, plus life skills that we offer day in and day out. So that probably helping them, and I'm proud to tell you that the recent 2019 batch, 90+% of students are gainfully placed.
Do you think AICT syllabus, AICT restrictions actually are not really up to date? Are they behind what the industry wants or what even the academia wants? And there should be a rethink of AICT role in management education itself.
Mr. Suresh, that is a beautiful question. Why? Because I always wonder. I'm not bothered about the Ministry of HRD, but especially AICT. What they do, what they have done, except putting stumbling blocks with the kind of institution we are in. They talk of accreditation, they talk of rating. All these ratings and accreditations are really kind of murky affairs. They are all ridden with corrupt officials. They do nothing. As far as Dhruva is concerned, luckily for us, we are a standalone, autonomous, 100% autonomous college. If you, with all your experience in industry, if you tell me there is a good subject that should be taken up, which is really making the bridge the gap between industry and institution, I will take it tomorrow. I will introduce the subject tomorrow. But in university scenario, whatever that I contemplate to introduce, it takes about 2-3 years. By the time the subject is irrelevant, obsolete. So that kind of advantage we have at Dhruva.
What's your favorite subject that you'd like to teach your students? I know this is a kind of a wrong question to ask an academic. It's like asking a person who has 3 kids, which kid do you like the most? But obviously I have to ask you this question. Which subject do you like the most to teach your students?
Normally, I teach quantitative techniques of management, but my students always remember me for teaching life skills. How to behave, how to present yourself, how to communicate, how to network, how to be friendly.
So going beyond just textbook.
Yes.
Life.
Actually, I forgot to tell you that we have a forum by name Ahimsa, Axis Hyderabad Indian Management Systems Academy, wherein we are trying our best to usher in Indian ancient wisdom into MBA curriculum. After all, the MBA curriculum is Western oriented, it's 100 years old, it's a bacha curriculum. Whereas we have 10,000 years old kind of lore.
Mahabharata itself.
Mahabharata, for example, Adam Smith says division of labor, and Mahabharata is Chaturanga Bala, Ratha Gaja Turaga Padati. There is always there. Only thing is we have to tap the wonderful resource called ancient Indian wisdom.
Do you have a particular business leader or even a political leader that you look up to and say, he is my role model and something I would like to emulate or learn from them? Do you have anybody particular in mind?
I am a big fan of Narendra Modi ji. What a selfless person he is. Just that. But as far as academics are concerned, as far as gift of gab is concerned, I adore Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan. But as
many in the present generation are not even aware of.
Not been aware of.
So how is it that you bring those old Indian epics, old Indian personalities into the academics at Dhruva? That's what you were mentioning.
That is part of my core area of interest. Why? Because in life skills, I bring in all these kind of stories or anecdotes of these wonderful people like Vivekananda, like Chanakya, like from Ramayana, Mahabharata, Devdutt Patnaik. These are the people I always refer to, and I always respect their teachings. And
I know at one time you used to tell me that you are technically challenged in terms of using a computer. But I think over the past few years I've seen you use it personally. I mean, I've never seen a chairman of a college sitting and typing a letter himself, but I've seen you doing it. What makes you think that today's technology is something that goes beyond age, it transcends beyond certain boundaries? How should technology play a role in today's education?
That is again a beautiful question, an apt question. In the whole of interview, this question is very apt for me to answer. Why? Because the technology has a two-edged sword. It is good and it is an evil also. If you use it for proper direction, it is a wonderful tool. But if you misuse it, that will harm you. For example, the present generation students are obsessed with tablets, laptops, mobile phones. They can be really put to use for teaching learning process also, but how many people are doing that? So I would be happy if students don't bring a mobile phone to the college, because we have a 30-line landline, they can use it. After all, 20-24 months, forget about the gadgets. You try to concentrate, and unfortunately, you are the testimony. You a couple of times asked for certain books when you were giving expert lectures here, and you wanted a couple of books and titles. Then I said it's available. You went there and you saw they are brand new.
That's a tragedy.
So many books. 25,000 books are available in the library, and they are not even opened. The present day generation of students, they never bother to go into the library and sit. They are always looking at the screen of the mobile phone or laptop. What big they are doing, I don't know. My daughter's son, I had been to his school. The school is named as MBA, Montgomery Bell Academy, in Nashville, Tennessee. And in the library I have seen a millionaire student. I was wonderstruck. What is this millionaire business? Are they into money? No. The librarian said that a student who reads million words in 3-month period, his picture is kept there as a millionaire. That is the kind of motivation.
That's what even Warren Buffett mentioned. I think other day I was mentioning to your students also that every day you need to read 500 pages.
Right.
And I think he was speaking to one of the major management colleges in the US, and then he repeated and he said, no, I'm sure none of you will do it, or very few of you will do it. That's a problem today.
So that is the real millionaire I believe in. And by the time you are done with reading in your 100 years of longevity, you will be a billionaire reader.
You built such a beautiful campus, the hostels. I think everywhere you have a stamp of your food, especially in your the food that you serve to your students in your mess, or if you can call it, it's as good as a hotel. And the classrooms, the way it's designed, you spent a fortune on building the auditorium on the 3rd floor. Everywhere, the way your faculty sits, you took personal interest in each one of that. What made you do all this?
My dear Suresh, we live only once in this life. Whatever I wanted to do, whatever I could do, I tried to do. And I tried to the best of my ability. And I left no stone unturned in doing what I could do.
That's my question, the last question. At the end of the day, at the end of your life, what did you like to be remembered as?
I have a wonderful friend, one Professor Matthew M. Monipalli from IIM Ahmedabad. When I wrote my epitaph, he said, a living person cannot write epitaph. He advised me to write epitaph saying that it should be read after I am gone. So my epitaph reads like this: here lies Dr. S. Pratap Reddy, a teacher who loved his students as much as his biological children.
Wonderful, Dr. Pratap Reddy. Thank you for sparing the time and talking to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.